Hey, there we go. There we go. All right. All right. Hey, welcome to Alchemy 101, guys. My name is Halo Marquise. Welcome everyone to the channel tonight. I'm really excited about tonight's show. We're going to be talking about entering into the flow state, right? And some people may or may not know what that is, but don't worry, we'll get into that. It's been a week since I talked to you guys actually from Target, right? And that's if you're with me here on Artists First. If you guys are live with me on Facebook when we do the shows, any questions, feel free to tune in at any time. If you're catching this on YouTube, we do a live show on Facebook. You can find me at Halo Marquise. Otherwise, you will hear the show 8 p.m. Artists First Pacific Standard Time. And thank you guys again for coming to the show tonight. So last week, I was actually out in LA, and I was preparing for what I did not know was going to be one of the most exceptional weekends of my entire lifetime, which, as incredible as it was, I feel like I still have many more to exceed it in ways that I don't even know. But just my approach to this last week's event is kind of what I want to talk to you guys about. All right. And that's what I meant by entering the flow state and creating an inevitable reality. Now, a really good friend of mine that's working on this amazing new skin product line with me and everything, Miss Nadia Ali, thought that was kind of a double conundrum, one of those funny things where I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, which happens quite often. But I just kind of reiterated that as all things may or may not be inevitable, you can take very specific steps, very specific attitudes, very specific energies, and obviously, like we talk on Alchemy 101 all the time, very specific routines to set yourself on the best trajectory to have that inevitable reality, right? What I mean by that is, I'm going to get nerdy with you guys really quick. There's this old anime called Death Note, where you basically, it's crazy sci-fi, mental, scary thing, but essentially you could write in a book how someone was going to die, and however you wrote it, that's what would really happen. But it had to still be within the realm of reality, right? So if someone's locked in a room with nothing but pads and everything, obviously they're not going to get hit by a car because that's just not something that's realistic. But if they were to trip and fall a certain way that was possible, then that would be possible. So creating these inevitable realities are really just learning to enter the flow state for what the universe has designed specifically for your highest self. Right. And so tonight I just want to kind of get into that with you guys. I'm going to go over a little bit of a recap as to what happened at this event that just has me completely blown away. And if you guys can't see me on the show, I apologize if I finally look tired, because it actually did happen. I didn't know it was possible, but apparently this much incredibleness in 1 week, and I don't even know if that's a word. It was that amazing of a week. Just had a little drain on me. So, let's get into it. So the flow state, guys, it's this amazing, not just state of mind, but a very specific vibrational state to where you're working effortlessly, right? Hey, Bob, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. How's it going? yeah, Pops, I see you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, my father's in the channel tonight. Good seeing him. And so here's what's interesting. There's this old movie, right? I'm an 80s baby. So anyone that's out there that remembers this, if you remember old good movies before it was just special effects and bright colors, which don't get me wrong, I love those too. There's this old Motown classic called The Last Dragon. All right, an incredible movie. It was made by Motown, had some very good martial arts, had old school Motown music, had breakdancing, had the 80s gear, had my man himself, Ernie Reyes Jr., back when he was just a little sidekick dude. It was an amazing movie, and it was essentially about this black kid named Bruce Leroy, right? Because, that's how you do it in the movies. It's got to, be close but not quite. And so Bruce Leroy had just finally attained what they call in the movie the final level, right? Now, the final level in the movie was referenced to a state that you reach a very specific place where your mind and your body act without thought. that you are just so much within the flow, if you will, or you're so in tune with the moment that everything is just effortless and is perfectly timed and has the perfect strength and has the perfect ease. It is just in the flow. It's the final level. Now, at the beginning of this movie, his master, not to give anything away, but he's, it's the beginning. So if you haven't seen it by now, you've had 30 some years. So I apologize. But he's shooting like a bow and arrow at his student. Okay. And as he's shooting them, Bruce Leroy, he's, rolling and tumbling all around the room, doing his acrobats. And every time he shoots an arrow, he just does like a karate slice out of the air and chops the arrow to smithereens. Right. But after he hits it, they always zoom in and look at the arrow. And you don't really know why they're doing that. Right. So finally, what ends up happening is he goes to shoot it. And for whatever reason, instead of breaking this one in midair, he decides to catch it. And when he catches it, it's one that's marked with like the specific mark that they were looking for, that how could he know that that was the one to catch and not the one to break? And when he asks him that, he tells him, I don't know. I don't know. He's confused. He doesn't understand how he knew, but he knew that was it. Like he just knew without knowing. And in fact, what his master says is, to know without knowing, that is how you reach the final level. And they talk about when Bruce Lee reached this, that he attained this amazing golden glow throughout his entire body, right? And that golden glow was to signify that he was in tune, that he was in the flow, that he was currently riding in that master level, right? Now, if anyone knows anything about Bruce Lee, this is a dude that lived and breathed his practice. So a lot of times when I'm talking to people about developing these type of skills, these gifts, it's people that have been working at it for 2 weeks, maybe a month and a half, and want to have those immediate results, right? As more people are entering in the channel, I'm seeing, and hopefully they're catching these tail ends, I see very good friends of mine, close people I know that are masters at their work. And every single one of them could definitely reiterate that this has come with hours and moments and seconds and more sweat and days hungry than a lot of people have even considered the amount of time, let alone the actual time being put in. So as we're talking about entering into the flow state, right, there's different ways of attaining it, and there's even different levels of it. But what's important is you understand that it is going to be a process, right? So for Bruce Lee to be considered in this movie to be at that final level with a golden glow, right? Well, now here we are in the future from when that movie was shot, and now we have this huge consciousness movement. We have all these metaphysical ideas, and chakras and energy and auras are becoming more and more discussed on the regular than they really ever have in times that we can't even remember. You know what I mean? So I think it's very interesting that even in a movie aspect, in a sci-fi, which again, this is just this ever shrinking field of things that we still haven't fully understood, they're talking about attaining that golden glow. Well, the golden glow would represent your solar plexus, which is your golden chakra point within your body. That's your drive. That's your creativity. That's your force. That's your really your everything. That's where your light and your drive comes from. So if you're trying to get within the flow, what better place to be operating from than from the place of your own creativity, right? Because guys, our subconscious is so much more powerful than we realize, that if we're being led by our own creativity in that flow state, imagine the things that you would be able to create. Imagine the things that you could form, the things that you could learn. But being within that flow state, it's an interesting thing to consider for a second, but the only way to enter the flow state is to surrender to everything that you think you know, right? And any surfer, right? And we talked about this a few episodes back about, riding the waves, and the similarity of vibration and frequency, and the waves that come at us are very similar to the waves that surfers ride. So there is definitely a degree of commitment, a degree of perception, but you can still jump on not the best wave. And if you know how to ease into it and surrender into it, you can still catch that thing and ride it all the way to the end, right? So the flow state is really about being in a time and place where everything is effortless and everything is just in complete alignment, even if you don't know where that line's going, right? Now, that part is probably the most scary part to a lot of people because everyone wants all the answers right now. And guys, we're going to reiterate on this. Your ego is not your amigo, and that's who needs stuff right now, right? Think about that for a second, because we've discussed how nature, right? Nature, everything gets done exactly as it's needed and nothing's ever rushed, right? Everything lives for something else. Nothing is living for itself in nature. And that's really the closest thing that we have to spirit, to source. So that is definitely what we should be modeling ourselves after, right? And that's why we make sure we go outside, we get our light, we get our grounding, we drink our water, because we're that same thing. Now, that's what's interesting about nature as well. When everything is achieved, there's no ego behind it. So it's constantly within the flow. I mean, think about how many times when you're reading a book or you're seeing a movie with subtitles for some of you, no problem, that's cool, that you see a river. And what is it described as? Oh, the river flows through the river, or flows through the valley, right? The wind flows with the river. That's what I was going to say. I've had a couple hot toddies. Like I said, I was drank, guys. It was crazy. It was a good time though. So as we're relating all these things that flow within nature, again, consider the way that nature operates, and then consider the way that we operate. And there's very subtle differences that we can always make and make adjustments along the way. Okay. So the idea of getting everything you want without having to work sounds ludicrous. And I don't want anyone to ever think that when I say not doing work means not doing work. Okay. And what I mean by that is, right now, wherever we're sitting, we've talked about this on the show, you're breathing right now effortlessly, but you're still doing work without having to focus so much on getting it done. Right. So we've also talked about many times on the show that when you chase things, that means they're running away from you, right? Like chasing money, chasing a relationship. So again, when you're still, when you're calm, when you're breathing, when you're knowing what you're capable of, right? That's your best chance to enter into that flow state, right? Oh, Karen, that's so great. I'm so happy to be able to be the messenger for you. That's awesome. Thank you. And you're so welcome. That's very happy. That's great. When you're in this flow state, right? This is what I mean. If you know how to drive the car, and maybe this is me, so maybe I'm telling on myself, and I would tell myself right as my wife joins the channel. So maybe you just shh, don't say anything. It's okay. You can make fun of me later. So there's definitely been times that where I'm driving, and we'll say only like a couple blocks away, right? When I'm only driving only short distances, that I might space out a little bit. I don't mean to do it, but that ride is so redundant. And so I know this is 150 feet. I'm going to make a left. Like, it's something that's just a natural thing that doesn't really require maximum effort. So in a state, right, as dangerous and cautious as it can be, and anyone's out there, please, let me know if you relate to this, that this is something you've been through, but it's just like an autopilot thing because it's effortless. Now, that's not a great example of the flow state, but anyone that's still listening that is not really getting it, just understand it's the ability of navigating effortlessly. Okay, so this is why I wanted to talk about this tonight. If you guys have been with me on Artist First, you've been with me through Alchemy 101, Miss Tech, whatever it might be, these last, 2 years, especially this last year, especially this last 6 months, especially this last 3 months, especially just all of 2019 has been growing and growing and growing into this like insane and intense crescendo of things I didn't know were coming my way. And as 2018 was very chaotic for a lot of people, it definitely took a toll on me, on my family, on the company, just lots of different things. I mean, they were great, and there was nothing really but growth, as uncomfortable as it might have been. Now, as we talk about on Alchemy 101, acknowledging your lead and transforming it into gold, I really wanted to go into the new year with that exact mindset and that exact drive, if nothing else. So I've been doing everything this year very effortlessly. It was still getting everything done, still making sure that the steps are taken for everything within Miss Tech and with the show and with the events, but with the minimum amount of expedited urgency, right? And that is that flow state, because whether you guys know this or believe this, you're all divine beings, that you're just in God's playground that forgot how to play. That's really the size of it. And on the show, we really want to help you guys like remember how to use those gifts and remember to play and remember to enjoy yourself and just really take advantage of this thing that you have life, because so many people just miss out on things from fear and doubt. And none of that's real, guys. You can have every single thing you want. You just have to know how to tune in. So just take these couple steps and really just apply them a couple times a day, right? And just see the different little things that will improve. See the things that you'll be able to grow in, because guys, growth is not a comfortable thing. It's not. It's never going to be. From the time that you're a child to the time that you're an adult to the time you're going through your business, through your relationship, all the growing that you're ever always going to do is always going to be uncomfortable until you learn to get comfortable with your growth, right? It's the same thing when you start going to the gym and working out. I'm guiltier than anybody to go and, 3-4 days in, and that soreness before I go through the transition and alchemize that irritability into knowing that's driving and building my body up. I'm like, man, damn this, I'm done. And then I want to quit. And so many people do that with so many other aspects of their life. So I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just as guilty as everybody else, but we have to learn to take responsibility of it, acknowledge it, and learn to grow from it, right? That's what we're here for. So this last week, and Martez, everyone join the channel. How you guys doing? Excited to see you guys. I really wish you could have been at this expo. And man, so tonight we're talking about entering the flow, right? Getting into that flow state and creating your inevitable reality. This week, as I was getting ready to fly out to LA, go to the Conscious Life Expo, I was doing what I always do and was getting ready to start writing down a list of, let me sure I've got this to take and got this to take and have my checklist and have my sales sheets and have my sales goals and have my pep talks I'm going to have with the team when I get there, and go through and look at the speakers and, planning my trip out as I normally do, as we all normally do. Right. And honestly, guys, I got 30 seconds into it, which in my mind was probably 15 to 20 minutes of processing. And I go, no, that's not what we're doing this year. Right. We agreed on that. That's not the steps that we're going to take this year. That's not how we're going to handle things. We're just going to give in and see whatever happens, for better, for worse, and just be excited about everything. Right. A really good friend of mine that was staying here for a little bit and is in South America now, said something that really like just caught my attention, and I've really been trying to go with that as well. And it's whatever follows your highest excitement, then that's what you should chase after. So that's all I've been doing. That's it. So I left, no plan, no intent, no anything. And for some odd reason, I was ready to go to the airport a lot earlier than I usually am. Right. And so normally I would stay and hang out with the family and do more things, but we were already having the baby up early. We got this measles thing going on in Portland. So I was like, you know what? If this is the time to get up and go, then babe, just take me now and I'll just go. And again, right there, that was me not knowing the how, not having the why. Still love my wife, still love my kids, but I need to be in this flow state and see why and how. Oh, that's fine. Thank you. Have a great time. And so I get there, right? And guys, I'm telling you, this is crazy. I have pictures I posted on the social media and stuff. It was insane. But as I'm about to put my bag in at PDX, which also, guys, I usually don't even have to take a bag. I usually mail all my inventory ahead. But again, that just seemed like a different plan this time. So again, flow state. I don't know why, but let's do this. So me having to take my bag had me stand in line at the airport. And as I'm standing in line, for whatever reason, like I'm the next person to go, but there's nobody else at any of the other like booths to check in to talk to any tellers, except for one guy. You guys will never believe this. It was Mr. Jeremy Davies, like the actor from like Sleepy Hollow, Justified, Saving Private Ryan, like some of my favorite sci-fi films. And I always love his character and his demeanor. And as he's walking by, like, I guess no one else recognized him. People were mostly looking at their cell phones. That's what happens. You miss out on the now. And as he walks by, I was just trying to be polite, not really want to get like over attention, but just, hey, Mr. Davies, man, I love your work. Thank you for everything you do. And I've got my banner for this Mistech lecture. And he stops for a second and says, hey, thanks a lot, man. He's like, you play an instrument or something? And I told him, I was like, no, I've got a banner for this lecture I've got to give in LA. And right as he's about to ask me about the lecture, the teller would ever go, sir, you're next in line. And I was like, hey, Mr. Davis, I want to take up any time. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. and go and check in my bag. And that was it. He was very polite, very humble, very cordial. And so I checked my bag in and just was like, right off the bat, very, very surprised, humbled, excited, like, man, this is my guy. That was just like an odd thing. I guess that's why I had to come here early. That's why I had to have my bag. And great flow state. Like, it felt good. And for me, that was enough. I'm good. We're just going to follow this the rest of the weekend. Now, here's the other thing, guys. PDX is a pretty good sized airport. And as I'm checking in, I go through security. I get through the checkpoints. Long story short, once I get to my gate, as I'm getting my stuff all down and getting this off my shoulder, guess who comes walking by? Mr. Davies all over again, and he's at the gate right across from where I'm at, and he came very, very early, so he's over there all completely by himself. And as I'm getting back up to go get some food, we cross paths again, and he goes, "Hey man, how you doing?" And so we went over, started talking. Guys, do you know that I was able to I got to give Jeremy Davies some mistake. Like that was the amazing thing. And I even told him, I was like, hey, I don't want you to start promoting for me anything. I love your work. And I think this is something that you would enjoy and would help. And if you want to give me any feedback, that would be great. But I love watching sci-fi because again, it's that shrinking field, and watching sci-fi gives me more ideas of what is it that we're going to create next at Mistech to make it more real. Right. So that was the amazing thing. And then he was so humble and so cool that I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but he ended up giving me this bracelet from Tibet. And yeah, man, it was just cool. I feel like I got a better deal. You know, it was really, really cool. And we exchanged info and there's some other things. And if there's other things to talk about with you guys, I will. But yeah, that was so then right after that, I get onto the plane, had a great neighbor. And I was just like, man, off to a wonderful start. This is beautiful. Get in early. Delaney, hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy 43rd. That's awesome. Congratulations. I hope you're having an amazing time today. That's great. And so, man, more good things, man. Just in the flow. That's beautiful. I like that your birthday is on the day of the show. Yeah. Hey, Tez, man, if you're still here for a second, man, just wait. You have no idea. It gets even more. And so I'm on this plane ride, and I'm more than anything, now I'm in this flow state, right? But more than anything, guys, and this is so important about being in the flow state, was I was being very gracious and very humble about, man, I didn't know why, and it was extra, and I get to see my family as much, but you know what? Thank you. I'm gonna go with it. And then bam, this is one of my favorite actors I've been watching for the longest time, and that was it. And so now I'm on the plane, and I'm feeling like I'm in the flow, and everything's good. And I go, all right, well, we're just gonna keep riding the flow, baby. Let's see what happens. And so everything is great. We get into the booth, we get set up. I see Jared and Barry and my very good friend Penelope. And everything's great. Jerry Sargent's next to me again. And guys, hey, so I'm gonna throw this out here really quick. Jerry Sargent's trying to figure out how to get me to go to Egypt for 2 weeks to get your boy super powered in the Pharaoh chambers and everything. I need about 3,500. So there's a donate button somewhere. Hit me up. Let's get me out there. I'm gonna take a bunch of Mistech and charge it. I love you guys. You can find me at halo.marquise@gmail.com just in case. If not, Egypt's still gonna be there. I will get there. All right. Anyways, so as I'm sitting in my booth. And guys, this is again in the flow, right? I see all these amazing people, friends and family from last year that I met at the expo. It was great. And all of a sudden this gentleman comes walking in. Check this out. This guy comes walking in and in a really, really nice suit. And there was another woman that was also wearing this kind of velour fuzzy suit also. So at first I thought they were together. And then as the guy started talking to me more, she just left. So they weren't. I just caught two different people at the same time, but again, staying in the flow. So come to find out as I'm talking to him, because he looks familiar, I can't put my finger on it. It ends up being the hip hop producer, Dwayne The Rock Ramos. Right. And so he did he's been in the business for 34 years. I think he said he sold about 14 million different records, worked with Raekwon, Jadakiss, all these different people. So I'm still hyped about everything that happened. So I'm some of the words are way ahead of me because I'm so excited. But so this guy who's been in the hip hop business for all this time, amazing producer. This guy comes in and starts talking about being a chi master, shows me videos about him moving chi, hitting people on the ground. all these things. And as we're talking, he looks at my left hand, guys, and I don't know if you ever see this on camera right now, but on my left palm, I have this little like mole on the bottom part of my hand. And as we're talking, he grabs my hand. He goes, "Hey, I got a mole at the same part of my hand, brother." And he shows me, and he's like, "Oh, we mole twins. All right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got you." And so come to find out, this guy is like very much into the woke movement, if you will, but very serious about his music, all these different things. And what was so incredible was I had a pair of our headphones with us, the Mistech headphones that tune the music to 432 hertz. So I said, "Hey, man, you know what? Since you've been doing this for so long, I would love to show you what these headphones can do and what my tech does." He was already like excited about the Mistech and seeing how everything worked. And again, with him being a chi master, being able to have this affect his body, like he was very, very sure of what was happening. So everything was just going perfect, right? I give him the headphones and he plays one of his own songs on there. And as soon as he takes off, he says, "I've never heard my strings so bright in my entire life, man. What is this?" And I started explaining to him, you know, we use the same imprinting technique that we use on all of our jewelry on the headphones, and we're able to filter your music back to Verdes A, which is 432 hertz. So it's back to how you're supposed to actually feel and hear the music. So as we start talking more, if you guys are new to the show or don't know this about me, once upon a time, I used to do music, and I rapped and I sang once upon a time. And so as I'm talking, I was like, "Hey, you know what? I used to do music. I would love to get some feedback and, you know, let me know what you think." And again, being in the flow, right? If this producer's here, this is something I always wanted to discuss, thought about recording again. We've talked about it on the show before, guys. So I'm like, you know what? This will tell me if I should keep moving forward or if, you know, it's my time. And either way is fine. I want to know so I can take the next steps. So I have him listen to Digital Dimension, right? And if you guys haven't heard that one, check it out. Go to YouTube, look up Halo Marquis Digital Dimension. You can hear it and let me know what you think. You know, I love getting feedback, for better, for worse. I just like to know the impact. So he listens to it, and next thing I know, he's in here like vibing. Like maybe he was overselling me because he liked me or something. That's what I'm thinking. Like, and as he's doing it more, I'm like, "Man, really?" And it really felt like, it felt great to see someone that knew music like this to enjoy what I created, you know, whether he wanted to get me on board and whatever, it didn't matter. I was just so happy to see that. Like the first time my son Amante rapped one of my whole songs, that was the greatest moment in my entire music career ever, regardless of any shows, anything I sold, any of that. Like that's what impacted me. So to see someone else that knows music this well, has an ear, all those things, to see that. And then he was like, "Man, you're nice." And he was like, "You know what's so funny?" He goes, "You believe in divine timing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, synchronicity, of course." He goes, "For whatever reason, I decided to bring equipment with me, and I have a little studio set up in my room right now. When you're done here, we should go lay some down." And I was like, "What?" And in this, I'm just like, I can't say no, right? Don't say no to the universe. Rule number 5, right? And I'm in the flow. So as this happens, I'm just like, there's no way I can say no to that. I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" He's like, "Yeah, man, here, take down my number." And again, man, they're probably going to be a lifelong friend, right? Amazing, amazing guy. And then, oh man, flow state, I'm telling you. And so we just talked a whole bunch, went into all sorts of different things, discussions. Now, another thing that's really important during this time, guys, really, really, really good friend of mine, and everything didn't go the way that we both wanted, so I'm not getting into it. But really, really good friend of mine. Like, I love this guy. I met him at a festival, and a friend of his also had a booth there, using some type of technology that was combined with another person's technology, and they were doing like this dual technology to give you damn near a psychedelic trip. Now, they had a version of it going on in their room. They had a version going on at the expo, and really, like, this is my guy. Like, of all the places that I go and run into, I didn't expect to see him here. And so I really wanted to make sure that I go check out what he was working on or who he was working with. But for whatever reason, I was always too busy. I could not get away from the booth, or I had to go over here and get this inventory, or, oh, they needed to have me help someone with this, or the baby had to leave, so I had to stay at the booth. Something just kept coming up. Now, again, we're being in the flow, right? So that means we don't force anything. But this was something I was like, but this is my guy. I got to make sure I get over there. I got to make sure. And so I keep trying to go, can't make it. Keep trying to go, can't make it. Fighting the flow, not knowing what the flow is, not acknowledging that there's hiccups along the way, because again, I'm trying to make sure that I don't disrespect my guy. I love this guy. He's amazing. So as I'm getting ready to go, and I actually am almost up to his room, right? And right as I'm about to push the door open, I get a text, and it was Mr. The Rock who wanted to have me come and record. And I heard all these people, and I was like, man, I was going to try this out really quick, get supercharged before this recording session, and go in and lay something down straight out of the cosmos. That was my initial plan. But as things progressed and took more time to get up there, and then he texts, I also didn't want to miss that opportunity either. And that was what was happening now. So as that was in the now, that was when the flow, I had to divert and went back over to his room. Would you guys believe this? I can't believe this. We went through, I don't know how many different like beats. We freestyled crazy, had an amazing time, recorded stuff. And then we even started recording live on his Instagram. Can you imagine for a second that I've not recorded anything, not really, in like almost 7 years. And I miss it so much. And I've been talking about for the last 2.5, 3 months, I have to record again. I have to get back in the studio. I don't know when, I don't know why, but this guy just walks into the booth as I'm in the flow state, surrendering, just going with whatever should happen. And he walks into my booth, and we just happen to have all the right questions and answers for each other. And the next thing I know, it looks like I might be going back to LA real soon, guys. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But like I said, definitely lifelong friend, definitely amazing guy. So much so that, check this out. So that's flow state, right? That's right now. That's two things in my life that I always wanted to do, like as far as meeting a famous actor and potentially being able to work on something. Maybe, again, we'll see, guys. Flow state. Don't need to push it. And then to meet really like a legend that's been doing this for this long with music, and then being able to work with him at the same time. Like, I don't know how this is going on right now. I'm freaking out. Meanwhile, I'm at the expo full of all of the most like amazingly beautiful, like technologically advanced, ancient technology, like all these people that are really just there trying to unlock what is really divine about us and really find out the full human potential and what's beyond that. So being around all of these vibrations, all these different types of people, with some of my favorite people that I got to see like every single day, with the baby who just had the brightest eyes, with what some would say alien type people was even there, some Palladians, some Arcturian. I mean, there was lots of different types of people there for sure. It was very, very interesting. And what was so great about that is while all this is going on, right? A woman that I had met the last time I was in LA, just by happenstance, she followed up with me a few more times, which you never know where you're going to meet people. And she came and wanted to get some more Mistec, right? And she was like, oh yeah, this is definitely a different type of place. And everyone's got their place of comfort and everyone's got their place of discomfort, and you never know what that's going to be. But the fact that she did come all the way in, want to come see me, get some more Mistec and everything, like I was happy that she did at least get to like see some exposure to it, because regardless of the opinion on the people's beliefs or ideals, every single person is overly nice and is really coming from a place of love. And I think as long as we're doing that, race, religion, ideals really shouldn't matter nearly as much as they do, unless you're trying to break your limits. And then there's different allowances per belief system. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If not, you'll figure it out when you're ready, and that's okay too. So now I've met Jeremy David, right? I met Mr. Right. We're going crazy, right? Everything is wonderful. Now, this is really interesting. So by the time I left his place, it was almost 4 a.m, and this was after doing I think almost a 14-hour shift of being on the expo floor, right? And almost straight on through, aside from eating. But me, you guys know I don't like to rest. So I'm over there like eating at the booth every chance I get. Like we're just, we're staying with it. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to finish up the last couple of pages of the lecture that I've got to do on Sunday. But again, I'm not rushing it. Everything's going to go exactly how it should go. And so Sunday comes around. It all is a really big shock to me, guys. So I'm just taking it in. So if I pause, it's a moment of reflection for me. So just work with me. So Sunday, my friend that has this technology that I've not been able to make it to, right? He finally comes by, and this is after Friday, couldn't make it for whatever reason. Saturday, couldn't make it. Saturday night, couldn't make it. The whole time, for whatever reason, couldn't make it. So this time when he comes by, rightly so, he's kind of got that, you know, that kind of chip, that kind of, oh, you're just going to keep blowing me off, kind of, I thought I was your guy, kind of. That, again, rightfully so. Like, I can't be upset that he was upset that I was too busy working the whole time, and I was really trying my best not to, but I'm always trying to help other people more than my own experience, and I just didn't, you know, I probably should have went. I probably should have went earlier, but interestingly enough, the flow, right? And the flow also, guys, is that intuitive state, right? Your intuition is the flow that is the most animated, that's the most direct, that's the most attention seeking. So when you're I want to say it the right way, and when your intuition is not the right way to say it, when your spidey senses are tingling, right? Now, there's different versions of your spidey sense tingling and your brain overthinking, all right? So all the people out there that are like, ooh, I knew it when I thought. No, if you think it, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not your intuition. When you feel it, which is very, very, very different, because, guys, I'm going to tell you something. This is a really interesting thing. Your intuition, right, is always leading you to your best version, right? Your overthinking is always bringing out the worst version, right? When you figure that out and really understand how that works, you'll have a much happier day. I promise. You'll have a much more relaxed version of what's going on in your life. So, again, Sunday, and he comes by, he's upset, rightfully so. And I tell him, I was like, man, I'm telling you, we can go right now. We can leave and go right now. You know what? Let me finish. I have two people I have to finish. They were at the lecture, right? And we're going to backtrack to the lecture because that was awesome. But I want you guys to understand the importance of this flow state and what it can really bring to you, right? And how creating this inevitable reality, because, guys, this is everything I ever wanted, And it was something that was created without force. It was created through surrendering and very specific patterns and understandings of what I'm supposed to have, why I'm here, and so on. So, and that doesn't necessarily have to be what I want or materialistic at all, but it is most certainly to make the biggest impact possible with every person I come across. And I need tools and I need training for all of those things. So obviously this is what would happen next. He's a little huffy, we'll say, but says, you know what, all your reasons and everything, you seem to magically have like the perfect reason for now. I'm like, right, that's really why. I promise I wasn't blowing you off, man. You're my guy. You're my glow stick. I love you. And so he does hang out for a little bit. And by the time I leave and get done with some other lecture people who, thank you to everyone that came. And again, we'll get to that in just a second. We finally get over to the booth and he throws his hands up because someone jumped in front of me and now I have to wait again. Right. And I start laughing and I'm like, man, I guess the universe just doesn't want me to do this. Like, I don't know, but so far it just has not been allowing me. And now I can finally come. Now, look, here we are again. So as I'm looking at the sign for the technology and everything, you guys know I take my frequencies and my numbers very, very, very seriously. I take that more seriously than half of the facial expressions I see on people. It's just numbers are patterns don't lie. It's very important. So as I'm looking at the display and everything, I see a number that I definitely don't like. And so now again, my spidey senses are like, no, don't do this. And I look over at the technology and there's this thing they put over your face, right? That's as much as I'm going to say. I don't want to get into too much of it. So I still love the guy. I hope it all works out. And I'm sure the tech is great. This was a different part of it. This was the other part. And so I'm telling them I'm really hesitant about doing this, but because I love you, I want to support what you're doing. I want to see what it is. I'm going to do it, man. But I'm doing it just for you. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't do this right now. And he's like, okay, it's fine. So I understand. And we're back into like a kind of good vibe, but I don't know. He needed some hugs. I love the guy. And so finally the person that's there gets up and he's like, you're going next. And he was so excited. And I'm like, yeah. But the thing is the guy that I met, good guy, seems really, really excited about what he's working on and knowledgeable. But I worked with lots of different types of people and I couldn't figure out what it was. And he probably shows a good guy. You know what I mean? Like water and oil don't mix, but they're both needed for different things. So I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but there was just something that was just going on with the whole thing. And I was just like, man, I don't, but you know what? It's my guy. So finally I get to where I get to go sit down on this thing and I'm finally ready to do this. And then the guy that's running it walks away and just leaves. So my friend looks again and throws his hands up, and it was like, man, I was like, see, I'm telling you, these are signs. These are signs, man. I'm telling you. But you know what? I'm still gonna wait because you're my guy. But these are signs. But it's okay. So I'm seeing the flow state. I'm recognizing it, and I'm doing my best to go against it. But I'm still here, and I'm here for a reason, right? And it took me this long to get over here anyways, and then I had to wait longer, and then this guy had to leave. So the whole time, again, instead of just getting up and leaving and running, I'm like, all right, well, flow state, this is what's supposed to happen. I don't know why, but I'm here. And the guy comes back, but the guy doesn't just come back. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can we don't have to get into the share screen. I'll mess it all up. Well, so he comes back. It's crazy. With Nassim Haramein, the physicist, the guy that did Black Hole, Black WHOLE. Like, for me, there's like Tesla, Nassim, and Elon Musk. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, that's just for the understand. Like, and Nassim first, okay, just to be clear. But what's so crazy is one of my mentors for Oregon and Orgonite is this amazing wizard in Phoenix named Mr. Jason Cole. And Jason got to meet Nassim at one point as well, and has this like really dope picture on his Facebook of Nassim holding his Oregon arc and being like really freaked out and impressed and everything, right? So as I'm sitting in this booth waiting for this thing that I really am uncomfortable going on, who literally gets walked into my booth the same way that Mr. Davies got walked right in front of me at the airport, the way that The Rock got walked right into my booth. Flow state, being in the flow. Guys, I'm saying I didn't even have a sales goal, nothing. I just went excited, went with whatever happens for a reason, better or worse. Let's just go with it. And Nassim gets walked right into where I'm at. And guys, there's only this little bitty walkway, so I have to stand up. And he was like, "Oh, am I cutting in front of you?" And I said, "No, please. You have much more important work than I do, please." And he's talking with some other people there. And as he's there, I go, "Hey, yeah, you know, one of my mentors, Jason Cole, you held one of his Oregon arcs." And he started laughing. He's like, I think I remember that. And then the other guy starts talking to him, and I don't want to take up too much time. He was there for the technology, but the fact that he was right there, I could not talk to him, guys. I couldn't. Like, that's obviously why I didn't get to that place at any other time. I needed to be there so he get brought to me, because that's how the universe works when you're in the flow state. So I get up and I lean over to my friend, and I'm dying laughing at this point, because I've been telling him the whole time, there's a sign, this is a sign. There's a reason I'm not supposed to go. And then I go, well, this is why. This is exactly the reason that I couldn't get up there last night, even though I was right there and started opening the door, but I got that text. This is why. And he was like, yeah. And I go, in fact, you know how I'm kind of hesitant? That's my guy right there. So what I'm pretty sure what the universe is having me, like, it's showing me right now that I'm supposed to follow my intuition and just stay in the state of flow and know the things I know without knowing them, which is I probably shouldn't do this. But we're going to see, because if he stays and goes through the whole thing and he does both pieces and everything, then if he says it's okay, I'll do it. Right. And he starts laughing. He's like, okay. And so finally, it seemed like he goes to sit down. Right. And remember, there's this thing that goes over. Well, the moment this thing goes over, I'm talking 5 seconds in, all of a sudden the scene goes like this. No, I can't do it with that. You have to, no. And he looks at me like, I was like, yeah. See, I told you. That's how did I know that there was just something. And if he can't, man, like that was going to launch me into like 18 other dimensions. And I don't have time to be in that many at one time right now. I got to be here. So maybe after the event, then we can do all this interdimension, but I couldn't do it right then. And so it was really interesting to see that happen. And then now he's like, all right, I guess so. All right. And obviously not overly happy about it. But that was confirmation of the intuition kept giving me these signs, reasons, everything. But guys, not only to not do it, but to still be there long enough to find out why. Like, I did not need to leave until the lesson was learned. And that's the other part about the flow. It's not about our timing. It's not about our result. It's not about what we want. It's not about any of those things. But earlier when I was talking about being able to drive in like kind of an autopilot, by this point in your life, especially if you're able to find me on Facebook or find me on Artist First, hopefully by now you're you have at least a good enough understanding about what you're capable of, right? Now, I say it this way because a lot of us are dishonest about what we're capable of, either because we're too lazy and know that we could do more than we do, or we're too scared of what we can do, or we're too scared of the responsibility, so we're dishonest about what we're capable of. Right now, it's very difficult to be in the flow state when you're in the state of denial. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're in some places in the United States and others, it's very difficult to be in multiple states at one time. But All right, sorry, they said I had to do a joke. Sorry, that was the best I got right now. But you can only be in one state at one time. So if you're in the state of denial, you're in the state of confusion, you're in the state of fighting, right? You can't get into the flow state. That has to be a very specific place. So by me going with no goal other than to find out why I was supposed to go, but knowing what I was capable of and the steps I could take, I knew everything would be fine. Am I capable of flying? Yes. So do I need to plan the flight out? No, I just have to book it. And after that, I don't need to plan every single step. I know that whatever should happen and come along the way, I can handle that. So flow state. Now, do I know how to get from the hotel to the airport and from the airport back to get food? And do I know how to get here? Nope. But I do have the internet and I have all these apps. So again, I know I'm capable of figuring it out. So I don't have to worry about that, right? So the lack of fear, the lack of worry, the lack of stress, the lack of goal, but just being able to embrace who I am and knowing that I know how to handle any type of situation that should be put before me because I've prepared for this for my entire life, right? To wherever you're at right now, for better, for worse, you've prepared for this moment your entire life. Now, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it seems like a bad thing, but I assure you, if you take all the different little lessons that put you in places that you did not like, all those lessons and everything that you have, you know how to build the ultimate warrior. It's just a matter of, do you want to go through the work and go through the sacrifices and giving up the routines, right? Now, because the internet lies, I couldn't tell you which proverb or country or religion, whatever that this comes from, but you know, whether you believe you're right or you believe it's hard, you're right. You believe it's easy, you're right. But whatever you think, you're always right. It's the same in the flow state. If you think that you don't deserve these things, if you think that you haven't worked hard enough for these things, you're absolutely right. Now, here's the cool thing. That doesn't mean that you should victimize that. That means that you should acknowledge that you haven't put in the work yet. And if it's something you really, really want, then you just have to take the steps. Guys, I'm telling you, as much as I talk about getting outside, grounding, all those things, you have a supercomputer in your pocket with all the information of things that you could ever want to know about universes that you could want to know. I mean, all the information is right there. It's just a matter of time as to where you're putting your focus and putting your energy. But if these things are not directed to getting into that flow state, then nothing is ever really going to flow. It won't. Things will feel forced. Things will feel awkward. Things will feel like work. So earlier I was talking about Nadia, our new roommate that's working on these things with Mistec, right? One of the things that's been very, very entertaining, watching her go through the process of really launching this large scale, guys, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to show you guys what we've got, samples and all sorts of things. But one of the things that she keeps mentioning, and this is what happens, it's interesting, is that the day keeps flying by. It just keeps disappearing. Like, where did all the time go? Well, that's part of the flow state. When you're doing these things and you're working, but you're effortlessly doing it, you're being led by your higher self, by your divine. When that happens, your time passes very, very, very quickly because you're not even thinking or focusing on the time. You're not. You're in the flow. And lots of things will get done that for a lot of people, it might take 2 to 3 days. It might take them a week to get done. But when you're in the flow state, because again, you're only working with your higher self, you're only working with the most efficient version of how these things can be accomplished and can be done. So you'll find yourself cutting corners on things that you didn't even know you could cut corners on. You will find answers in ways that you didn't even understand that there's an answer. You will find new products, new ideas, right? New excitements left and right because you're just going with the flow, right? It's like river rafting, right? Now, I haven't done it. I've watched people. I've laughed at people for doing it. Definitely. It's just not a thing that's for me yet. Maybe someday. But even with that, as the water is smooth, you still are riding within the flow of the direction that you're headed, right? As the turbulence increases, as the stones come, as the trees break, as all these things happen, if you know how to adjust for that, you can still just keep moving right along. In fact, guys, this is what's so amazing about this. If you're paying attention, right? And when you're in the flow state, everything about your being is paying attention to everything. You can feel the air. You can feel the people around you. You can feel the slightest change in the energy, right? Of the emotional energy that's around you. Now, as we were in the booth at Mistech, this is what I mean. We had tons of different people coming in and out of there. Everyone was freaking out. Everyone was shocked. You still every once in a while had your couples that were rubbing each other the wrong way or saying something they didn't want. And every time that would happen, you could feel the tension of the flow of that energy shift just ever so. Now, some people would fall into that, and now you see them like looking uncomfortable or shifting their conversation. But if you understand, again, that's just a little tension. Well, that tension can give way. Just stay in the flow, just like you would when you're in the rapids, right? So as these things come along, you have to understand that just because you're in the flow, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be smooth sailing. It means you're on your way to your destination. That's what it means. Now, you can be on the way to your destination, and if you don't adjust your sails, you can crash, you can wreck, right? You can fall. Now, if we're going back to the river rapids analogy, if you've prepared correctly, even if you fall, you have a way to float to the side and start again and get back within the flow and learn from those mistakes that you made, right? So again, being in the flow, guys, it's not about just doing everything with no effort. It's about doing things effortlessly, okay? Now, here's what's really cool. So we're going to get back to this, and thank you guys for being with me tonight on Alchemy 101. We got about 9 minutes, so I want to tell this last little bit of the story. So at the Conscious Life Expo at the Hilton LAX, I had an opportunity to give a lecture, right? And so we did it on the perfect conduit, and really covering all the different metals, minerals, everything that we put into our body, that when you look at like aluminum that goes into the body from products, you look at iron, you look at lots of different things that in other types of electronics and other types of tools, those same metals and minerals pick up radio waves. They pick up UV, they pick up a huge range of all sorts of different things. And you have to consider that you have those in your body. So you're picking up lots of different things that are affecting your protons, your body, like just so many things. And so how Mistech works is we have a way to remove all that distortion. So I got to give this like really cool lecture, and it was funny because what I was going to do, and anyone's out there, I'd love to hear from you if you think this would have been a better idea, but we were really just expressing the importance of EMFs and what they do, and then how Mistech can help. And initially, I'd say there was probably 40, maybe 50 people that showed up for the lecture. So thank you guys that did come, and everyone that participated. We had a great time. But I was going to take like water balloons, right, and just start bombing everyone in the audience and get them all soaking wet and be like, look, so right now you guys are okay, but you're really uncomfortable. That's kind of what EMFs are doing to your body. And here's what Mistech can do. And just get out this big hair dryer and just dry everybody off. That's initially what I was going to do. But I didn't think that would, it wasn't warm enough in LA for that one. So maybe next year, we'll see. You never know, guys. It might happen. But so as I'm doing the lecture, guess who shows up at my lecture? Dwayne DeRock. The guy shows up again, and he's in there, and we had volunteers. People came and did the muscle testing, and I had this kid lift me off the ground with one hand, and then I had a woman do it, and everyone was just blown away, and everyone was really excited, and thank you. And this kid, Will, had all these amazing questions, and out of nowhere, Dwayne, like, he just puts his hand up and stands up and introduces himself and who he is and talks about the headphones and talks about the tech. And I didn't ask him to do that. And it was just an amazing confirmation in the middle of this lecture of staying in this way and just letting whatever comes come, and just being excited about what it is that I'm working on and not worrying about anybody else, just letting you see what happened. He had no reason to come in and do that at all. But again, when you're you're in the flow state when you're working with your higher self and you're working towards your actual goal, not for anybody else, not to make your parents happy, not to make your significant other happy, which is still important. I love you, baby. But you're following your higher self. When you do that, the universe will echo these ideas back at you, and that will reverberate back. It's like a feedback loop. It's amazing. So he just came in the middle of it, introduced himself, talked about it, said everything. Everyone's just like, what? And I was just like, man, thank you. Like, what an amazing thing to do. And it was also so great about this guy is like, even when I was getting ready to leave and head back to my hotel, like he even went outside and waited for me for my lift and everything. So it was a really interesting moment to see someone that has done so many things and has such a, man, just amazing energy to still be so humble and still offer opportunities and all these things. So it was amazing recognition back to back of just being in the flow and not expecting and letting happen what would happen. Right. So yeah, that was nuts. And then afterwards, it was also really interesting because we were supposed to close at like 8:00 from the expo. And I think we left at about 12:43 a.m. So we were able to stay open 4.5 hours later because people were still at our booth. And so thank you guys for that. We had an amazing time. If you guys are interested in what any of that stuff is, you can check out the products at mystech.net. That's mystech.net. Also, orderofalchemy.org will get you guys back to the YouTube channel where this show will be posted. Most of the Alchemy 101 shows are posted a day or two afterwards on the YouTube channel. If you guys have any questions, you can reach me out to me at mystech.net. Go through the contact information there. Facebook, all social media, Halo Marquise, and obviously every Thursday at 8 p.m. you guys can find me here on the Artist First Network. Man, it has just been an amazing week. Very, very, very little sleep. Not much needed though, guys. It was absolutely outstanding. I don't know what will happen with this Egypt thing that might happen, but I think it would be very cool to have some supercharged Mystech tools. A couple other things. If you are on the Facebook channel, I met this amazing fairy craftsman lady, Kyla, I believe, and we're going to be having some new energy tools like some wands, some meditation crowns that if you guys again can see it on Facebook, incredible stuff. And again, just more tools that we want to be able to offer to you guys. And I really hope that you guys take time this year to just really delve into your divinity, into your truth, and to really alchemizing all the problems, all the trauma, all the things that have not been right in your life that were preparing you for what's going on right now in your life. All right. So that's how alchemy works. And there's so many more steps to it than that, guys. I really encourage you to get out there, study some metaphysics stuff. I always mention spirit science. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a great start. And definitely track down the last dragon and find out what it takes to really reach the final level and the master that you will need to meet to fully reach your maximum self. So guys, this is Halo Marquise, the Alchemist, CEO of Mystech, Alchemy 101, Order of Alchemy, Jedi Order shall return very soon, guys. I love all of you. Let's be better humans. And I think I'll see you next week. See you guys. And then we have an awkward pause.